المستمر والذي تنظمه الشبكة الدولية للبحث والتعليم المستدام، وذلك ضمن برنامج الطبيب المقيم المتميز، والذي يجمع نخبة متميزة من الكفاءات في مختلف التخصصات الطبية والصحية. يأتي هذا البرنامج ضمن سلسلة محاضرات بدأت في 11 من إبريل وتستمر حتى 10 من مايو بمعدل محاضرتين يوميا. ويسعدنا اليوم أن نكون في المحاضرة الثامنة ضمن هذه السلسلة. في ظل التسارع الهائل في إنتاج المعرفة الطبية وتزايد أعداد الدراسات المنشورة يوميا، لم يعد الاكتفاء بقراءة دراسة واحدة كافيا لاتخاذ قرار سريري أو بحثي موثوق. وهنا تبرز أهمية المراجعة المنهجية Systematic Review والتحليل التلوي Meta Analysis كأدوات علمية متقدمة تعيد تنظيم هذا الكم الهائل من الأدلة بطريقة دقيقة ومنهجية. سيكون عنوان محاضرتنا لهذا اليوم Systematic Review and Meta Analysis، المراجعة المنهجية والتحليل التلوي. يشرفنا أن نستضيف في محاضرتنا هذه الدكتور عبد الله العصيمي، أحد الخبراء في مجال الصحة العامة وعلم الأوبئة، يبحر بنا في هذا المجال، ولكي نعرف بشكل موسع عن هذا النوع من البحوث العلمية ومنهجيتها وتطبيقاتها. قبل أن نبدأ بالتقديم الدكتور عبد الله، معي بعض الملاحظات. نرجو من الجميع كتابة الاسم بشكل صحيح وباللغة الإنجليزية واللغة العربية في برنامج الزوم. نأمل منكم تعبئة استمارة التقديم بعد انتهاء المحاضرة. الحضور مجاني، بينما الشهادة متاحة برسوم رمزية لمن يحضر 70% من المحاضرات. سيتم استقبال الأسئلة في نهاية المحاضرة عبر الشات أو من خلال فتح المايك ورفع اليد. يشرفنا أن نستضيف في محاضرتنا هذه الدكتور عبد الله العصيمي. يمتلك الدكتور عبد الله العصيمي خبرة بحثية وعلمية ثرية، حيث عمل باحثا مشاركا في جامعة تمبري لعقد ونيف، كما أسهم في العمل الميداني مع منظمة اليونيسف في اليمن في مجالي الصحة والتغذية لعدة سنوات. الدكتور عبد الله حاصل على درجة الدكتوراه في علم الأوبئة من جامعة تمبري في فنلندا، ودرجة الماجستير في الصحة العامة من جامعة أوميو في السويد. الدكتور عبد الله له العديد من الأبحاث العلمية المنشورة في مجلات دولية محكمة، إضافة إلى كونه مراجعا ومحكما للبحوث الصحية للعديد من المجلات العلمية الدولية. نشكر حضوركم الكريم وتمنى لكم محاضرة علمية ثرية مفيدة. الدكتور عبد الله تفضل مشكور، المايك لديك.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. والحمد لله الذي وفقنا جميعا إن احنا نقدم يعني زكاة العلم ونقدم شيء مفيد إن شاء الله لليمن وللإنسان اليمني. فالذي يحب اليمن لابد يحب يعني اليمنيين، ولا يتعلق قلبه بالحجر والشجر ويترك الإنسان، لازم يكون قلبه معلق بالإنسان. شكرا لمبادرة إسرين، ونتمنى إن شاء الله أنه تكون لها مستقبل واعد، وكلنا يعني فخورين بالقائمين عليها ونتقدم لهم بالشكر. وهذا مننا إسهام إن شاء الله بسيط، ونتوق للمستقبل نحن نشارك بشكل أكبر وأكبر بإذن الله. طيب، ممكن أعمل شير للمحاضرة الآن؟
يا دكتور شهر. واضح.
طيب، والصوت إذا في أي انخفاض فيه ولا شيء
واضح
يعني
واضح.
نبهوني في أي حال.
واضح يا دكتور.
طيب، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، أما بعد. Today we will gonna talk about the systematic review and meta-analysis. It's a short workshop, but we will have a lot of outcomes out of this workshop. and we have developed an outcomes clearly, and I would like to share it with you. And one of the outcome of this workshops is understanding the literature review types, and also recognizing the role of the systematic literature review in research. So this is one of the outcomes that we expected the participant to be able to gain the understanding of different types. Also, we are aiming that the participant will understand the systematic literature review itself, and not in general the literature review. Why systematic is more rigorous than traditional literature review, and also they would be able to describe the different aspect of the systematic literature review, explaining the concept and purpose also. Keep in mind that also they would be able to identify the benefit of the systematic literature review in medicine and in public health. Our third outcome that the participant would be able to conduct a systematic literature review. Inshallah, by the end of the workshop, you will be able to really build, a study that can be, published. So the participant would learn how to formulate a research question and how they would develop a protocol according to PRISMA guidelines. Also, they would be able to apply research strategies, how to search for the articles that they can include to their systematic review. They would be able to define the inclusion and exclusion criteria based on their research questions and their interest in their review. So this is the main three outcomes of our today workshop. And in order to cultivate these outcomes, we would be in touch with some topics that can lead us to this outcome. So the workshop outline that I have outlined in this slide, the topic that we will talk about it at first of all is the fundamental of literature review. We will have an overview about the literature review types, unique purpose for each of the review in research. Keep in mind that also we will start with the key differences between the different type of literature review. The second would be systematic review excellency. Why we will see why exactly it is important, and we will see what is the systematic literature review itself and why it's important in research and public health. Also, we will talk about the structure of systematic literature review studies, but this would be an overview. For the paper format, we will not be able to go in detail how to build the different sections of the manuscript. According to the PRISMA checklist, it's 7 sections, and each section has its own, a way to build it. We just will talk in general, and we will have an overview. It could be included in another workshop or in a course that can Esreen construct. We will talk also about the key component of the systematic literature review. So we will go step by step, and we develop the component until we reach to the whole manuscript ready for publication. Yep. Also, we will talk about the methodology, tools, techniques, because we have what we call it practical guidance on Prisma. So we will have something to guide you for Prisma understanding. Also, we would try to go to database navigation and research strategy. We will use in this stage also what we call it a search strategy. And we will use this search strategy in the database, and it's different from database to another database. We will learn about the keywords that we will use and the mesh terms. So I would like you to help me by concentrate on the terms that we will discuss during this workshop. So to follow me and to be able to absorb all of this information in order to practice more practically at the end of the workshop. Okay, if we have enough time, we will talk about the meta-analysis concept and application. We will concentrate about the principle of meta-analysis and its practical applications and how it's important in research. Well, it's for sure it's a quantitative data synthesis. We will see how we can handle this if we have enough time. So almost this is the topic that we will cover today. So now I would have asked question, what do we know about the traditional literature review? So there is something called traditional literature review, or what we call it narrative review. Narrative review has been defined as a general summary of literature based on author perspective. So it depends on the authors themselves. For the purpose of providing expertise opinion, overview, so they would tell us their opinion about certain topic or method or policy. Traditional literature review, the author within this narrative review will select the study based on their own judgment. So they will decide what they want to include in their traditional literature review. And there is no strict methodology of searching, selecting, and analyzing studies. So the experts here, the authors, the researchers, they have high level of expertise that they can judge the method, the way, the studies, whatever they like. That's why it's a narrative literature review. Therefore, it's a subjective because it depends on the author, opinion and judgment. So someone would agree with this opinion, others they would agree, some other but just they are against. So it is subjective at the end. Okay, then why we would consume a lot of time and effort to do a traditional literature review if it is still subjective, and there is I would say there is no a collective or consistent agreement about it. So we should raise this question and clear with ourselves, should we do traditional literature review or no? Well, I would address this question, why we do traditional literature review, and what the function of the traditional literature review. Well, narrative review in general, we can list 5 functions for this narrative review. Always we do traditional literature review to identify, summarizing, and evaluating current theories and methods. So if there is, for example, a theory or method approach, we would like to identify it, summarize it, highlight it, evaluate it. It's good, it's not good. Should we change it? Should we improve it? Then we should do traditional literature review. For example, if you would like to criticize or evaluate a policy at the Ministry of Health or in a health system or a hospital, let's take an example, immunization approach. So we need an expert to come and to judge our approach. Well, of course, it's based upon his opinion and expertise, but still, it's beneficial. Also, we would like to say, well, we would like to see if the cardiac surgery in our tertiary level is a good policy or it should be improved. So we need experts to come and to judge this methodology. Also, keep in mind that sometimes we identify the methodology problem and gaps. We need to identify methodological problems and gaps. And this is exactly what the master and PhD student do in order to show their research work of their PhD or master has a contribution to the body of knowledge. So any student would like, to go for a graduate study, either master or PhD, he should show the university and his supervisor or the graduate study community committee that he would be able to contribute. Okay, I want to do this thesis, this research work in order to contribute to this problem, because there is still a gap. So traditional literature review will be needed to show the gap in the field of the problem that he will study in depth. So a golden question that each master and PhD student will face when he or she will do the thesis task as a part of his graduated study, a golden question he would face it is, what's your contribution? They would ask you in order to accept your research work or to hire you as a PhD student, we need you to submit a proposal. And you would eventually mention what's the contribution. Otherwise, they will not hire you. So we, for students, should do traditional literature review. So we are identifying a research gap. Therefore, by doing traditional literature review, you will be able to find the gap and identify what we do already, what we do know. So we cannot know what exactly has been, done, achieved, what's current information, current situation without doing traditional literature review. Then we would know what is still missing. So it's a logic that we will know it by knowing what we already know. In addition, literature review provide a highly needed evidence, it will provide highly needed evidence for decision makers. Sometimes we cannot approve a certain policy for the health system without having traditional literature review from expertise. let's say if we would like to change the policy of the Ministry of Health, minister or the steering committee at the ministry cannot go for a new policy without having, traditional review. That's why they invited some consultation. They would say, well, WHO or UNICEF or the World Bank has given a grant or we have a loan, and in order to do reform or something, of course, they will not approve it, and Ministry of Health will not go for any new policy without having traditional literature review. So this is very important for decision maker when identifying and supporting priority issues, especially for allocated budget or money to spend. And also the funding for a policy development. It's not easy for the decision makers to allocate budget for something that's not approved by expertise. Okay, what else I would add here? Also, most of the grant agency may require the literature review. So if you want to have a grant, you should provide what we call it proposal. And part of this proposal is a literature review. We know that it's a very big part of the mass PhD work, mainly. Literature review is a big part of the thesis. And some of the PhD students would say why he or she would not just publish this literature review as a separate manuscript, just only the literature review. Of course, there's some have been able to publish literature review of their PhD. Yep, of course, it's logic, because it's consuming of time and efforts, and why not be, able to publish such a extensive piece of research? Yep, really, it's a good idea for a student to publish traditional literature review. And in this case, the research will get a lot of attention. Many people, they would read it, they will use it, they will include it in their, programming and project development, in their research or whatever, in their thesis. It's very important to have published traditional literature review, because not everyone can publish this piece of research. It's as I said earlier, it's based on the expertise. So someone has a very long experience. Well, that will increase also the reputation of the person in the academic community. If you publish traditional literature review, you will be, you will have a high reputation in the academic paradigm. Also, it's such a piece of publication of narrative review definitely will have high citation. It will be a reference for many of the research paper in future. But so I say reputation high and high citation, but it's difficult to publish traditional literature review for a student and early career researcher. It's not easy at all. And maybe it's impossible sometimes. That's why most of the PhD students, they cannot publish their PhD literature review or their thesis on what I say, peer-reviewed journals. It just only, it could be on a different website of university or something like that one. So it's a very problematic to publish traditional literature review. But why? Well, this type of traditional literature review paper are written by well-known, keep in mind it's written by well-known researchers, or those who have been published research papers during the past 20 or up to 30 years of their field of expertise. While that's why the journals and the editors of journals do not trust. They don't trust the young researchers. And their judgment is not trustable because it's, as I said earlier, traditional literature review is based on the researcher judgment. So they don't trust early researchers or PhD students to be able to judge, to criticize, to evaluate, because their expertise is still it's not high. That's why they would say, oh, they don't publish it. And if someone submit a literature review to a journal, of course they will look, who is this person? Yeah, it's a peer review journal, but still for traditional literature review, they would look who you are to judge something and what's your experience. And they will figure out that you are a genius, then they will not publish it. Okay. And what's more can be an obstacle is that the traditional literature review have these traditional review papers have a different format and structure. It's not the same like other research, because each article of this narrative review has its own type of format. Based on what? Based on the high expert researchers' opinions and choices. So he will choose what format he wants to have. So still, it's a kind of a piece of art. It's not it's a standard. There's no standard to follow. It should be abstract. It should be method, introduction method, methodology, certain sequences. No, the researcher here judging whatever he likes. And this is also this is make it more difficult because it hasn't a standard format. Then it will be difficult for juniors researcher and for the PhD student, because they have also to suggest a specific format that match with their own interest. And if a junior has not published, you know, the standard methodology, cross-sectional study, case control, cohort, or something of the other observational studies, then how they will trust his judgment to come up with new format? It will be very difficult. Yes. Okay. Because he haven't been used a lot of methodology to publish, so his expertise is still limited, and he haven't used a lot of format of the formal research types or study design. Okay, but we have. Don't be so sad. Still, we can have a promising, you know, solution for such a problem. I have a piece of information that's is promising here that we can solve and can have a solution for this obstacle. What is this solution? How we can come over this obstacle? I would say it's a systematic literature review. The systematic literature review is the solution to come over the difficulty of publishing traditional narrative review. There is many types of the literature review, but we will concentrate today about three types of literature review. One of it, as we have mentioned, the traditional narrative review, and also the systematic literature review, and we have the meta-analysis. Okay. As you can see, I have a line here, and at the end of the line, or the left line, it's traditional narrative literature review, and this is not a good option for the junior researcher. On the other side, on the right, it's a meta-analysis. And as you can see, that's the meta-analysis on the right side is what we call it the most positivist way of doing literature review. It's the most, rigorous way, more evidence, gold, I would say the gold standard in the literature review paradigm, where we use a statistical method to combine the result of multiple studies that we will include in our meta-analysis. And this kind of studies or this kind of literature review needs a well-rounded skills in statistics. And also it needs expertise and more advanced knowledge and skills in using statistical software. And that limits the meta-analysis application. So still we have another problem that can limit the application of meta-analysis. It's the statistics. It needs someone who has a good experience in statistics and in using statistics software. Okay, so still we have obstacle here on the right side. But let's go in between the two ends. In between the two ends of the line, there is what we call it qualitative systematic literature review, and also quantitative. So we can have both quantitative or qualitative systematic literature review. And that's based on our research question. And if we would have a comparison group. So if we will have a comparison group, then we will do some statistics. And in this case, our systematic literature review will be quantitative, more than qualitative. Yeah. Try to absorb little by little so we can reach to the outcomes of our workshop today. We need your, we need your understanding, because we need to do a lot of literature review. We need to do a lot of research for the Yemeni context. Yemen context has debriefed a lot, and we need your, contribution. We need your efforts, and we need your interest to ship and to contribute in this, gap in the Yemen context. Where I have been. Okay, so now we are talking about the middle between the traditional literature review and the meta-analysis. Okay, so before we go in depth to the systematic literature review, because it's the main skeleton for our workshop, and it's part of the meta-analysis. So before we go, you develop your study to meta-analysis, it should be a systematic review at first. Then it will be upgraded to a meta-analysis. Now you might ask, how is this different from traditional or narrative review? Therefore, in order to understand the systematic literature review, you need to know the different type of review research articles. And we will concentrate about these three articles or type of literature review: traditional literature review and systematic review and the meta-analysis. Okay, let's go to the next. Okay. In general, review research article is a secondary. So our literature review is a secondary. I would go back, sorry. So I will not disturb your concentration. In general, this kind of studies, it's a literature review. And this study, we call it a disc research. Yes, disc research. Both of the three. And one common thing between them is that we are collecting data. We are collecting data from previous published research. We have no new data. We are not generating our own data. We are just collecting the data that has been published in the previous research papers. We collect the data from this research and we will combine them. So we will do a combination of the finding of this research that has been published and the collection of other study information into our review study will make around 70% to 80% of our study as a secondary resources. Can you imagine that? So up to 80% of your systematic literature review or whatever, meta-analysis or narrative review, it would be just a secondary resources information. While our thoughts synthesis will make 20 up to 30% of our study. So we should be clear about these things. And keep in mind that in a review study, we do not have patients or cases. There no patient, no cases, as well as we do not have a real intervention or experiment. So it's just a desk. We are sitting behind a computer, we're using tools, guidelines, and we make a literature review. Okay. Now I will take you to the literature review methods, where we can discuss the differences in between these three literature review studies. Here is a comparison between these three types of the review research. And I want you to keep in mind that the research question in the traditional literature review often broad or not clearly defined. while in the systematic literature review, it's narrow and to the point. Therefore, in traditional literature review, we do not follow the PICO. In the narrative review, we don't follow PICO. And we can start with the regular question. Any question can come to your mind as what you like as expertise. While in the systematic literature review, we do need PICO. Maybe not. It depends on the type. It's quantitative or qualitative systematic literature review. So it's still your own choices. But if you choose to have a qualitative, then you would need a PICO. But if you choose to have a quantitative, I mean the qualitative doesn't need PICO. But if it's quantitative, then you need a PICO. And sometimes if you want to follow PICO with all the 4 components, then actually it will become meta-analysis. What I would say here, highly likely your systematic literature review will become a meta-analysis because it will be statistical. If you will apply all the 4 components of PICO framework for the research question, then you would have eventually or almost meta-analysis.
سوري دكتور ممكن تشرح لهم what is PICO PICO.
I will talk about it. Just give me time. Yes.
Okay.
Well, we will not go to the detail of what's PICO question. And we talk about it later. So I don't want right now. I don't want just to confuse the participant about the PICO right now. So just keep it in mind, and we will talk about it. It's a kind of how to build research question based on a certain type. We will go ahead. As you can see, the searching strategy in traditional literature review does not follow a specific guidelines. It doesn't follow any guidelines. You can choose whatever you want of the research articles, and it doesn't have a checklist. And you just do your research and writing as you like. While in the systematic literature review, we follow PRISMA guidelines, as well as in the meta-analysis. So we should follow PRISMA guidelines. Okay. And the selection, the selection of studies is subjective also in the narrative review. And we do not do a quality assessment in traditional literature review. As you can see, we choose whatever you want from the studies, and we don't do a quality assessment. Okay. We don't check quality assessment in the narrative review or traditional literature review. And we include all needed articles of both good and not good. You are experts and you use whatever you want. You can include this study and this study, not this one and not this one. You can take a part of this study, big part, small part, whatever you want. You are expertise, you are a consultant, and you are paid for your work. And this is why the traditional literature review evidence is not the highest level in the research paradigms. So the tradition is not the best or the gold standard or the highest level of evidence. It's a subjective. And it can have a bias. it can have a bias because we include all kinds of papers, whatever, no quality assessment. And the risk of bias is high in this case. Okay, while in the systematic literature review and the meta-analysis, we have inclusion and exclusion criteria. We didn't include just, haphazard, whatever we want. No, we should first of all build the inclusion and exclusion criteria. And based on this criteria, we can include the studies. And it's not our choices to exclude some studies that match and goes with our criteria. It should be there, whatever the result is. Also, our research question will decide our inclusion and exclusion criteria. So it depends on the research question. What do you want? So you will get it from your research question. What's this criteria? So that's why the research question is very important. And it should be clear and defined, because many things will depend on your research question. And if you make it simple, then you will be able to handle your study easily. If you make a very complicated and not clear and not defined research question, then you will face a lot of obstacle and difficulty later on. Okay. Also, our research question would be a good guide for us in other things. In addition, we do a quality assessment, and we check the quality of each research that we would like to include in the systematic literature review and the meta-analysis. So now we have a very clear, guidelines to do the quality assessment of all of the study that we will include in our systematic review. Okay. In conclusion, I would say here, the systematic review, we follow a clear and very defined methods for searching. So we will many tasks. So the clear defined, method for searching, how we will search and find the article that we will include in our review. Also, we have a very clear and defined method of selection, how we will select them and how we will analyze these studies. Okay. And because we develop a system, so we are developing a system for the systematic literature review. And this system will help us to produce and to conduct what we call it systematic literature review study. Then no matter if we have this system, then no matter how many of you will make a systematic literature review for the same research question separately. So if we decide we have a research question and two of you will like to address it and other two, they live in Holland and they would like to do this systematic literature review, other they are in Yemen, in Sana'a, in Aden, whatever, and how many you are, still you will have the same result. And this is what we call it the reproducibility. So the reproducibility for narrative review is too low, but for the systematic literature review and the meta-analysis, it's too high, and we can have the same result no matter where and when and who did again and again and again the systematic literature review for the same research question. Okay, what else? Here the bias. We have talking about that there is high bias in the narrative review because we include whatever kind of study without quality assessment. But the bias is too low in systematic literature review and the meta-analysis. Also, this process is what we call it a systematic review, because we have a system here to follow. It's not our choices, but we have a system and we should follow this system. Okay. Systematic review is not just a simple a summary. It's not a simple summary for studies. We not just search for studies and we summarize them and we deliver a piece of paper and we say this is a research. No, it's a methodological, rigorous, very strict and standardized method. And that's what makes the systematic review rigorous, very strong piece of evidence in the research field. And we try to identify and evaluate and synthesize all relevant studies related to a specific research question. We should include as much as we can of the study that has been published as a secondary source to build a synthesis out of these studies. The key point here is that the process is systematic. Why? Later we will talk about why. Okay, the process here is systematic, and this reduces the bias and ensure that the review is transparent and reproducible. Regarding the data synthesis of the systematic literature review, it can be quantitative or qualitative, as you can see. Data synthesis, well, based on your choice, you can have qualitative or quantitative. While in the narrative, for sure, it's just qualitative and it's descriptive. And it depends on the systematic review. If you would have a comparison group, then it would be quantitative. Keep in mind that meta-analysis is 100% quantitative because we have statistics, application method in this study. In traditional literature review, what else I can add? Yes, the method section. In the manuscript itself, method and result section are optional. Imagine it's optional, and you find a published literature review traditional without result method and without results. Yes, it's happened. You can find it, and that's why we call it narrative review, because we write this kind of study as a story, and everyone can have his or her style of writings, his paper, and what sequence he could follow in writing the manuscript of his narrative review. Therefore, you can see, of course, traditional literature review without method or result section. But in systematic literature review and meta-analysis, it should include method and result section. And this is it's one of the it's included in the checklist of Prisma guideline. It should be there. For the statistical analysis for this three types of the study, we didn't do statistical analysis for the narrative review. For the systematic review, it depends if you have quantitative or qualitative. So maybe or maybe not perform statistics. analysis. But in meta-analysis, for sure, yes, always we perform the statistics. And the output of this three type of study, we will have narrative summary, just talk in the narrative review, and we will have a structured summary with statistics or without, depend. And we can follow also Prisma here in reporting our output. For the meta-analysis, of course, we would have pooled estimation or estimated. Example, odds, ratio, mean difference. So it's a pooled estimating the result of other studies. Okay. Yeah. Why systematic literature review is a very important. Now let's consider, before we go in detail why it's important, I would say now we need, let's say, why we need this systematic review in the first place. Before we go to the definition of systematic review, let's ask you, I will ask you a question. So please, keep in touch. My question here, that's if it's a simple question, but if you have multiple studies, okay, we have multiple studies, and we are addressing the same research question, and these studies are giving you different results. So we have one research question, and there is many studies has been addressing this research question, but each study would give you a different result. How do you decide which one to trust? Any one of these studies you will trust. This is a very common situation in research. Well, you might find one study saying that treatment is effective. This treatment is very effective, it's good, it will improve the patient. Another study is saying it has no effect. While sometimes even a study could suggest that this is harmful. It's harmful for the patient. Okay. Also, the more they may have, for example, a small sample size, or they could have some methodological limitation. You cannot trust this study because it's a very small sample size, so you cannot count on it. Or there is some methodological limitation, or even a random bias or error. Okay, so this is what we are facing when we find research and we cannot judge things, or we say, well, we will follow or trust this study. So the question became, how do we deal with this inconsistency? Yes, this is inconsistency. Many studies addressing the same question, but it doesn't give you the same result, and you cannot trust any of them because they have a difference. Result have some limitation also. Well, the answer, we do not rely. We do not rely on a single study. We cannot count on a single study. And the main reason to do the systematic literature review is that individual study can be misleading. That's why we do a systematic literature review. And instead, we try to collect all the available evidence and analyze this in a structured and systematic way. And systematic literature review is a very easy way to map the existence evidence on any problem you would like to address. So systematic review and meta-analysis are considered the highest level of evidence in research. It's the same like we have this clinical control trials, and it's very well, the standard that we can count on, and we judge based on that. We could judge something. Here also, the researchers came up with this design that is really it's highest level of evidence in the research, especially in medicine and public health. It's rigorous. And this is one of the reasons that why we are saying that it's very important, because it's a rigorous scientific method that you can trust and you can count on and you can judge based on this study. Systematic literature review is a rigorous scientific method because we follow system and we develop protocol. With the available multiple database and tools, doing a systematic literature review became quickly. It doesn't need a long of time because we have database and there is tool to do systematic literature review. There is tool how to search the database. There is tool how to manage the studies. There is tool how to analyze them, statistic software and other things. Now it became quickly. So, okay, what other make the systematic literature review important study? Well, it's easy to publish. If you succeed to come up with a good research question and you build a system, protocol, and you apply it, then it's very easy for journals and editors to accept your systematic review. Because nowadays, I know that many journals, they would love and they like to have one or two at least, maybe more or less, in their issue. So each issue of the journal, they would like to have systematic review. So they are waiting for any review to include it to this issue. So it's easy to publish, it's not difficult. In addition, I would say to publish a systematic review, it would get a highly cited. So it's a highly cited publication. So for researcher, instead of using referring a reference as one study, cross-sectional or something, whatever design they could mention in their manuscript, it's more attractive for them to use the systematic review because it's included many studies and it has combined estimation. So it would get high citation in the research field. Okay. Also, there is something we call it publication bias. where studies with a positive result are more likely to be published. There's what there is within the journals and within the publications, paradigms, there is some sort of bias. They accept the paper that's showing a positive result more than those with the negative, or more than those with the inconclusive result. This means that if we only look at published studies, then we will have some sort of bias, because most of the published paper that has a positive result. So if we just go to select a study without having a systematic way to include our study, then we will have bias. But fortunately, systematic literature review has a system that we should include everything with it. And maybe we'll go also to registry, where there you could have what we call it gray literature review, like in conference, PhD work, thesis, unpublished research, something like this. So that's mean if we only include looking for publication studies or published study without a systematic searching for all evidence, we may get a biased picture or biased selection of our studies. Systematic review attempt to minimize this problem by using a comprehensive searching strategies. So we will learn how to build a comprehensive research strategies in order to include all the possible potential evidence of research. This is what we call it rigorous. So systematic literature review is a rigorous piece of research. Yeah, I know it's a lot, and it's not easy for everyone to absorb all of this just in a short, intensive workshop. But keep in mind, we have the important role of doing research. It's like you eat an elephant, and you eat an elephant bit by bit. So small by small, step by step, until you reach the top, and you have developed your manuscript in a proper way. Okay. We will eat the elephant today. Okay, let's get started. More practical. I would ask you, what's your research question? We should have a research question. We will practice together also how to make a research question. We talked earlier about BICO framework. BICO stands for P for populations, I for intervention, C for comparison, and O for outcomes. So in order to develop or to conduct a systematic review, one of the first steps is to define the clear research question. We should have a clear research question. This is often done using frameworks such as PICO. This is one of the best frameworks to build your research question. Okay, let's take some example. And using this framework, help ensuring the research question is focused and answerable. Because if you have, I would say unclear, undefined, not to the point research question, it would not be easy to answer this question. But as much as you have a defined and clear question, you would be able to answer it. For example, instead of, I will give an example. For example, instead of asking, let's say you have this question. It's a fake question. Does the treatment work? Does the treatment work? We would ask more specific way. So it's just ask this question. It's not defined. It's not clear. It's not answerable. Does this treatment work? But if we develop the research question in this way, and we say in the adult with hypertension, does captopril comparing to placebo reduce blood pressure? Do you see the research question here? Can we apply the BICO? Excuse me. Let's try to apply BICO. BICO is the population. B, population. What the population in this question is adults with hypertension. It's mean, male, female, whatever, more than 18 years with hypertension, diagnosed hypertension. So this is B. Intervention. Does captopril, so captopril here is the intervention. And C is comparison, comparing to placebo. So we have a comparison here, reducing blood pressure. This is our outcome. Does the outcome, the reducing blood pressure outcome is an induced or associated with the captopril? So this is a clear question. Okay, let's take a more example. I have one question here also. What are the determinants of private health insurance uptake in GCC countries among adults healthcare seekers? Let's apply again the BICO framework. Please remind me if I pass the time. What's the time still? We don't want to run out of time. Yep, we should speed up, I think. So the question here, B is the determinant. No, B is the those who are the adult, among adult healthcare seekers. So this is adult. This is B. And intervention is the determinants that's induce the effect or the outcome. And the outcomes is the private health insurance uptake. Do they take, they buy, they purchase insurance or no? Yes, no. And the comparison is between those who take the insurance and those who don't purchase the insurance, and how this factor is playing with different groups. So there's group comparison. The outcome, of course, it's do they get the or they purchase or not purchase the health insurance. Another example, what's the association between private health insurance and the healthcare utilization in GCC country among adult healthcare seekers? Okay, so this B is the adult healthcare seekers, and the population is the healthcare sector. We said intervention is private healthcare insurance, and the outcome is the utilization. And the comparison between the yes or no, who has utilized the healthcare. The last example, yes. Evaluating the association between menopausal hormonal therapy and the breast cancer risk among women aged 50 up to 79. The PICO framework is applying to this research question perfectly. B is the women age from 50 to 79 years, and the intervention is the menopausal therapy, and the outcome is the breast cancer, and the comparison is between different type of menopausal therapy. We could have different type of therapy, and they compare it in between. Okay. So, would you like to develop some of research questions? So we can check if you be able now to develop a research question. You can upload your research question on the chat, and I will look at them. So I will give you 2 minutes so you can develop a research question, and I will read them in the chat side of our Zoom. Yes, please go ahead.
هو في سؤال يا دكتور الآن. Could you please make example of systematic literature review tools؟ أعتقد بنقله بعدين، هذا لسه جاي طريق.
ممكن. So let's see how they can generate a research question that's matched with the PICO.
Yeah. يمكن يا شباب تكتبوا والدكتور بيقرا حقكم البيكو كيف تعملوا الكوتشنز
Any question that can come to your mind, just upload it in the chat section. Yes, okay. I can see there's one research question has been uploaded. What are the ecotoxicological effects of engineered nanomaterial on aquatic organism, and how do they interact synergistically with microplastic and non-plastic in a way that current single substance regular framework cannot capture. You know, I would ask you again, Doctor, that you have uploaded this research question. Can you define now what's your population? P. You can see what are the ecotoxicological effect. Still, you are asking about the outcome. You should mention the outcome itself. So still you are not clear what's the outcome you want to measure. In your research question, still you are searching for outcome. Well, it should be already known, the outcome.
هو دكتور أنا ببحث عن حاجة اسمها LC50 اللي هي النسبة
Yes,
المئوية
say it.
نص الكمية القاتلة.
ايوه اذكرها على طول هي نفسها مباشرة.
اوكي بايو اكيوميليشن اعتقد موجودة في البايو اكيوميليشن
So it's
وطبعا على
better.
انه انا قصدي في البي بوبيوليشن بروبلم اللي هي اكواتيك اورجانيزم، والانترفنشن او الاكسبوشر اللي هو النانو ماتيريالز اللي هي اي ان ام، والانكسبكتد اللي هو الكومباريتور انكسبكتد اورجانيزم او كنترول جروب، والاوتكام اللي هو اللي يسموه بايو اكيوميليشن تجميعهم. انا مش عارف.
It's almost as clear, but it needs just to be specified regarding your outcome. You'd say this effect. I want to see this, make this. Is this associated with this? Is this cofactor has to do something with this outcome?
اوكي في كمان سؤالين هنا. في سؤال ثاني in young patients.
Yes, so we are clear in young patients. How
ممكن
young?
تقرأ.
Child or adult young?
لا مكتوب هنا in young patients what are the effect of the oral and broral muscle contracts combined with BTE. ممكن تقرأ السؤال في الشات موجود يا دكتور.
أنا شايف
ايوه.
combined with PTT on. So how you will judge it, this one? LP population still is not clear. We say young, not children, not adults. It should be clear about the population. What are the effects? So of oral, so the intervention is oral and pre-oral. Musculature combined with PTD on the mandibular anterior teeth crowded. This is a good question. So the outcome is clear. Is the mandibular anterior teeth crowding, and the intervention is the oral and pre-oral. But still you need just to redefine your population, P. Good, very good. Still there is another question. For preterm babies using caffeine, citrate or not, can make a difference in neurodevelopment. This is a very good question. So the population is the preterms, the intervention is the citrate, and the comparison between those who receive and those who don't receive, and the outcome is make a difference in neurodevelopment. What the neurodevelopment is the outcome. Very good question. In the medical student, another question says, in a medical student preparing case report, does use of AI assist writing tools compared with the traditional method reduce the time required to complete and submit the manuscript? This is also a good question. The P is the medical student. Intervention is AI and traditional method. And the outcome is help or not help in completing the submit their manuscript. Very good question. Excellent. So we can go forward. My advice here that keep in mind, we don't need to have many factors in our research question. So always we start with the research question, simple, clear, and one relationship or a single construct at one time. So we do not need to have many concepts or factors in our research question. If we have many factors, then it's better to do another systematic literature review. You can separate it. And instead of making it complicated, make 2 systematic literature review. Or 3. It depends on your research question. We should have very clear research question. Concentrate on one concept. Okay. Now let's move on. We have what we call it Prisma. You hear Prisma guideline, Prisma checklist, Prisma flow diagram. So I have taken a piece of photo to show you the Prisma 2022 checklist. And it is the 27 items of essential tool. It's to design and to develop systematic literature review, meta-analysis. And this checklist to ensure the transparent and the complete reporting of the systematic review and meta-analysis, and it serves as a roadmap for researcher to document exactly why review, why study was done, and what method has been used, and what was founded. So it helps us to build our manuscript. And the 27 items are organized in the 7 standards manuscript sections. We know the title, the first section is title and abstract, and this should explicitly identify the report name. They should mention a systematic review. They should mention this name and at least in title and abstract. Also, the introduction should include the detail, rationale, and specific objective. By using BICO framework, they should include within the introduction the objective, research question, and the justification and rationality. In the method section, the third section, they should document eligibility criteria and information source from which database you have collected your research. Also, what searching strategy that you have adapted or used, selection process, and the risk of bias assessment. How do you assess the risk of bias in this study that you have included in your review? For the results section, they should report the search results how it was. I mean, they should follow the Prisma flow diagram, how many study at the beginning, how many they excluded, how many they retrieve, how many they included, excluded. These things should be according to the Prisma flow diagram. Also, they should mention this section, I mean, the result, the study description, and the actual finding, and the synthesis based on these findings. In the discussion section, they should interpret the result in context. So if they review about the global level, the context would be the global. If it's about regional, they should talk about this regional context. Some countries, they have enough studies that you can generate systematic review. Unfortunately, some field is not applicable in Yemen to run a systematic review because it's a limited, research resources. Also, we could mention in the discussion part this limitation, we can discuss it, and the suggested implication. Finally, the last one is the seventh section. We include other information. Let's say, for example, we disclose the registration of the protocol. If we register our study, we will say we register this protocol area, for example, in Prospero, and the fund, if there is funding for our research. Also, we talk about the availability of data and acknowledgement of those who help you in the process of doing this systematic review, which is less than the level of authorship. Well, this is the Prisma framework or the flow diagram. So you see the diagram, and the Prisma framework stands for preparing reporting items for systematic review and meta-analysis. Okay, we will try to summarize as much as we can so we can practice the searching strategy. And this Prisma framework of flow diagram, it has four stages. Stage one is the identification, stage two, screening, and stage three, eligibility, and the fourth is the inclusion. We will go back to this slide again, but let's go further. So the core stages of the Prisma flow diagram, first of all, it's the first stage is the identification. In the identification, researcher search the database. So you will decide what database you would like to search and to extract your studies from. You can choose, for example, the PubMed, Scopus, Med of Science, Embase, Cochrane, whatever you want. You can include, for example, I would say 5. I should get out of this. Maybe, yeah, I have. I will get out of the Zoom from my telephone. Give me just a second, so it doesn't annoy us. I don't know where is it. Zoom. I hope it doesn't annoy me. I will take it away. That's enough. Okay. So in this stage, we will decide about our keywords. Do you hear me? Hello?
دكتور واضح.
قلت لنا انقطع الخط أنا. طيب
لا واضح صوته.
So in this keyword, this stage we will have the keyword to do our search strategy. We will have the search criteria, and also we will decide about the database. And we will, after we find the studies, we will remove the duplicated record, identify them, and remove them. In the second stage, we will do screening. So we already have our articles, and we just go for the title and the abstract, and we will screen them according to the inclusion and exclusion criteria. And we will report. So, for example, first of all, we will report the number of articles that we got from PubMed, and how many of them we got from Scubas. If we also decide to search Cochrane or decide to search Web of Science, also we will mention from each database how many articles we have found. Then we will look to the title and abstract. And first of all, before we go to the title and abstract, we will take the duplicated, because we will take this study to the Excel sheet, and we will look to the duplicated information, and we will delete the duplicated cases. And we will do this not only for one database, but for each database until we remove all the duplicated cases. And we will report in this flow diagram, as you can see again. We will, in this one, we will say how many we have removed because of duplication at the start, at the initial, either by Excel sheet or by using this reference managers like the Mendeley or EndNotes. Again, we will proceed to the screening stage, and we will read the title and abstract, and based on our inclusion and exclusion criteria, we will remove the studies that are not matching with our criteria and with our research question. And we will report how many of them has been, excluded. And out of this, we will have new number or list number of the studies that we would like to include in our study. Then we would go to eligibility. And in this stage, full text should be the full text reports for the remaining studies after we removed. Those are duplicated or not matching with the criteria. We should, retrieve. We should get all the manuscript, the whole manuscript. If we don't, for example, if we have 200 study now in our hands, and we should collect all of the manuscripts. For example, we get the manuscript only for 150, and 50 are excluded because we couldn't have the manuscript. You shouldn't include them. Sometimes we should contact the authors. We send them email, please send us the manuscript. And this is based on the inclusion and exclusion criteria also. Okay, what else? Studies excluded at this stage must have their specific reason. In the flow chart, we should mention the reason why. But in the initial stage, we shouldn't mention the reason. But according to the Prisma flow diagram, at this stage, we should include the reason why we exclude this study. It could be wrong population, it's not the same populations, or it could be wrong interventions. It doesn't matter with the real intervention that we are looking for. The final stage is the inclusion. So we will include the rest of the paper that we have. The exact number of study that met all the criteria will be included. Okay. Let's go to more practical today. I will divide the work of doing systematic literature review into 3 stages. Stage 1 is planning, and stage 2 is searching strategy, and stage 3 is writing your manuscript and building the format. Okay, in this stage, phase 1 is planning. So please, first of all, in order to conduct a systematic literature review, we need to develop a system to follow, and it can be done in phases. So you can proceed smoothly and in an organized way. So this planning phase, we would have different steps. So for step 1, in phase 1, you should first of all to open Prisma checklist, please. Have Prisma checklist beside you, open it, read it, and follow it. Don't skip anything. Just read it, understand it, and follow it. So this is the first thing to do in the planning phase. The second step is to develop your research question, as we did before together. So you develop your research question according to PICO framework. For right now, I will not go in detail because already we have covered this, and I assume that you are able and you are already able to create a well-defined research question. The research question could include a group of comparison, but if you want to make a quick and easier systematic literature review, then you should avoid including a comparison group. So you will do it faster and easier. And just let your research question not to have a group of comparison. For example, you can say, I want to measure the prevalence. So this is no group, comparison. It's a prevalence all over different studies in a certain context. Step 3, in order to document each action that you made or you are planning to do and steps, you need to have a data sheet, Word document, any document, just to write the steps that you will do and the actions. And this would be the protocol. You will have to build a protocol in a Word document, for example, to document everything that you do. This is a very important to do the further steps, because there is steps in further. We need to do it, and we will use these things that you have written in your data sheet or protocol. For example, for registration, if you want to register your study and to write your method section also. So if you want to register your study, then you would need this protocol. And if you reach to the level of writing your manuscript, then in the method section, you should write these things that you have made. If you didn't, document them, then you will forget exactly, because it's a number, it's a time. So you need to mention these things in your data sheet, then you will report them and include them in your manuscript. The fourth step is you could register your systematic literature review protocol in database such as Prospero. So you can register your protocol that you are going to do this study. But keep in mind, this is step still optional. It's not compulsory to register your study in database, or let's say your study protocol. You don't have to register it, but this is an option. Don't worry much about it and about the registration, but it's a compulsory for the randomized control trials. but for review, it's optional. Why do we do registration then? That is to let others, other researchers, understand that you are already working on this topic that you choose, and they can switch to another topic or something else, and they can focus also on another problem or research question because it's already covered by you. But sometimes some researchers, they register their protocol, but then they stop, they didn't complete it, or they got busy, or they got sick, or they die. So you register your someone register his study protocol, but he died later on. And the researcher, every time they keep looking, there is someone is working. He will produce very amazing systematic review. It takes from him a long time. They don't know that he is already passed away. He will not do it at all. Then this is one of the disadvantage of registering a protocol. It can happen in life. Okay. I would go to the second phase. So we know the first phase, very good, excellent. We know the checklist, Prisma checklist in the first phase. We have research question. We have a data sheet or protocol. And if we want, we register our study. Now we can just proceed to the second phase. We should, in the second phase, develop our inclusion and exclusion criteria. And in this stage, the research question will guide us to build our inclusion and exclusion criteria. And it will show you how to develop your research, inclusion and exclusion criteria. For example, the type of patient, what patient you want? Adult, children, and what type of study you would like to include? Observational study, you would like to have a controlled trial studies, cohort, or case control, cross-sectional. You will decide about these things in your criteria, as well as years. How many years do you want to look for papers that have been published within 5 years, 10 years, more, less? You will decide it. And the language, you would like to include a study that has been published in English language or English and Arabic and French or something. This is where and when you decide about this criteria. The second steps in this phase, searching strategy, then we will start to find the research paper from database. We need to decide what database. Regularly 5 database is fine, but for my I like to have 2 databases enough. For example, if we have PubMed, Medline, or PubMed Central, in addition, well, we can choose one of these 3 because they are one family, and they are one family, and I think they are one family by some organizations, and it's by the National Library of Medicine. Yes. So this 3 is belong to the National Library of Medicine. You can have one of them is fine, and you can add Scubas or something else, Cochrane library. You can have whatever, Embase or Web of Science. The last one you can include is the Google Scholar, because it's getting better and better time by time. They build it. Of course, you can decide to search for 5 databases, as I said, but 2 is fine. And if you have enough time, then you can choose more. But if you are in a short time and you want to produce systematic review manuscript in a short time, then 2 is enough. At the same time, you have to set up a deadline. You should have a deadline. For example, you could choose just only 2 and go ahead to complete your manuscript so soon. We can do also a primary search on PubMed if we want to decide is this research question is perfect and it can be applicable, because it's not each research question you will find a lot of publication to do a systematic review. So first you will test is this applicable research question. So we can have this research question. We take your research question and we put it in the PubMed search bar. But how we will do it? You will see how this can just put a research question on the search bar and it would give me. We will take just only the keyword from your research question and we will see how these terms, the research question terms, we put them in the bar and we can look how many research paper will appear. I would advise you, if you got, for example, 100 research paper or more, then you say this is a good question, research question, and I can go further to proceed in my systematic review. If it gives you less than 100, then I advise you just to change your research question. You will not have enough, published study in this about this topic. So, and third steps in this stage, using proper keyword. Yes. Excellent. Now we are more advanced, and now you know how to develop your inclusion and exclusion criteria, and you decide about your database that you will use to extract your records. Okay, then what else you should know? I think you should know, and you need to know the keywords and how to develop them. From where can we get this keyword and your development? The research question will guide you to develop your keywords. It's in your research question. Regular keywords from the research question. And there is an equivalent terminology or synonyms. So we will read the research question carefully. We will take this terminology, which we call it regular keywords, and the synonyms of this keyword. So this would be your regular keywords, questions, terms, and the synonyms of this question terms. Okay, and of course, keywords are not enough. We will need something else. What we call it? We will need something else. What we call it? Medical subject headings, or the mesh, or we call it the control vocabulary. Control vocabulary. So we will need both keywords and the mesh terms or mesh keywords. This will allow us to make a combination. So we will combine them and we will make a combined search. So keyword plus control vocabulary. This will give us what we call it search strategy. Control vocabulary is a unique terms that are adapted by certain database. So it's not for all of the database. Some database they will use only the regular keywords, either single word or a combined word. But for the PubMed and PubMed Central, Medline, they use this terms, which we call it mesh, control vocabulary. Also, I think Cochrane Library, they use it. Other database, they adapt only the keywords, and that is just fine and easy to search. And go ahead to the database and search within only the keywords. But in other database, no, we should have also the mesh terms. Now you see how the research question, will guide us to develop our inclusion-exclusion criteria as well as the keywords in order to develop our research strategy. Okay, but how we will decide about mesh terms? How we will decide about them? From where we will get them in order to proceed in our systematic review? Well, mesh keyword, where they are, this is a little challenging, but I am sure that you will be able to learn it, and with the time, you will manage to find it and to do it. Now, how will we how will you find your mesh terms? Well, mesh terms or mesh keywords can be founded from PubMed. You just go to the PubMed website, and on the search bar, you could write down your research question keywords. So we will take from the research question the keyword, and we will put it there on the search bar, and we will search for, try to find the most relevant articles. And we can press and to open this article, only the link of the PubMed, not the whole manuscript. And you can look to the right on the corner on the right side or in the bottom, you will find something, terminology that has been used by the PubMed. And this is the mesh terms. So in the bottom or on the upright side of this article link, that is very close to your research question. The most closest research near to your research question and topic, this can give you the mesh term. This is one of the ways. Still, there's another way that we can practice together. Here you got to know what mesh keyword that you have to use. Again, we should have keywords from the research question and its synonyms. Also, we should have what we call it the medical subject heading or the mesh terms. And these we will get them from the PubMed website itself. Now, what do you need to find next after you find the major keywords from your research question, as well as the mesh keywords? So if you got to know these two, what else? Well, you will need to build your mesh strategies. Now, after that, you will build a mesh strategies, or what we call it building block approach. Building block approach. Some water will help. Be time, excuse me.
تايم قرب يا دكتور عبد الله.
التايم راح؟
باقي شوية يعني.
خلاص طيب هندخل الآن في البراكتيكال على طول نفهم سريع. طيب شوفوا معنا الكونسبت. So we will have concept from the research question. So we will have outcome concept. So the name of the concept, the outcome, we call it concept. And the populations, we call it concept. and the context, the region or the place that you will do. So we will have terminology out of this. And then we will have, the synonyms of these keywords. So this is all the keywords. Then we will have what we call mesh terms. The mesh term, we will go to the PubMed and we will get them from the PubMed. And then we will join them, keyword plus the mesh terms. And we will get a search strategies. Well, keep in mind also we will use what we call it Boolean operators, which is and, or, not, and it should be in big letters, not small letters. So if we say depression and anxiety, this means the study that should include these two things. So it's narrow the search, or either this or this, or both. So we are widening our search. If we will use not, so depression but not anxiety. So we will have paper that has only depression but not anxiety. Okay, let's go. Database, as we said, we have Web of Science, Scopus, PubMed, Medline, Embase, Cochrane Library, ProQuest, and Science Directory. And finally, Google Scholar. Okay, let's have this research question, and we will practice so fastly. The research question, what does it say? It say what is the, it's not clear on my mic. You can read it, Mohanna, read the research question, please.
Okay, what is the prevalence of diabetic retinopathy DR among adults in Yemen?
Yeah, okay, what's the prevalence of the retinopathy among adults in Yemen? Okay, so
yes,
it's clear the PICO here. It's adults in Yemen, and the outcome is the retinopathy, and the intervention of the diabetes. Okay, and the intervention is the prevalence here. So we have the prevalence. Let's go ahead. So let's decide about our outcome concept, population concept, context concept. And we will collect them together. I will proceed. We don't have time. I wish we would be able to practice them later. So, okay, let's go to the concept. In this question, we have outcome concept. What's the outcome here? We have diabetic retinopathy. This is a concept. And what we have also, outcome, is the prevalence. It's regarded, we have as a prevalence, rate, proportion. And the population concept here is adult. And the context, Yemen. Excellent. So now we decide about, we know our concepts. It's clear here. Then we will plus make concept and synonyms. So we have diabetic retinopathy. And what's the synonyms? You can't just search in your telephone or in your laptop or computer. We will have diabetic retinopathies, diabetics, retinopathy diabetics, different names. Also, we can have, I would add something. Let's add also eye disease. So we have all of the synonyms, the concept and the synonyms. Okay, the second one is prevalence. So what's the synonyms of prevalence? Proportion, epidemiology, distribution, rate, or incidence, or frequency. And other concept, population adult. And what could be the synonyms? Well, single and plural. And Yemen, there is only one Yemen. Okay, let's proceed. Well, I will take you to show you my screen. How I'll get out of this? Let's keep it now. I will try to share with you my screen. Share. PubMed. So we will go direct to the PubMed. and it's better if you log in, so they will update you with any new article, and you want to save your work. So it's better to log in with your own account. Go down. You go down. Do you see this? There is a mesh database. So you press on this one. Just press. Don't search here. You should go first of all to mesh. So we open mesh. As you can see, I'll try also to do something, make it easier for you and faster. Let me take what I call it. Yes, this one. I open this and I will keep it within me. So it's easy for me to proceed faster. Okay, we have this concept. Let's go ahead now and build our mesh term, find our mesh term. So we have concept one, as we said, diabetic retinopathy. Okay, I will take it, diabetic retinopathy. We will see what's there. I will write it down this bar, okay, and it should be mesh, and we will say search. Now we search. Look, we find only one name, so it's match. It's only this diabetic retinopathy. And now we will see what category we will filter. What's related to what? Well, we have here what's called the, let's say, complication. Yes, retinopathy is a complication. Congenital diagnosis. Yes, I will take it. And dietary, drug, economic, epidemiology, epidemiology. Yes, it's an epidemiology study. And etiology, causality. Yes, I will include it. Mortality, what else I can include? What could be explaining my topic? Pathology, yes, it's a pathology. Physiopathology, maybe, yes. Preventive and control, we want to prevent and control such problem. So what paper can be related? It could be a paper talking about prevention and control of retinopathy. So we try to help the database to find the matched study. Okay. Well, I want to include also major topics, and I think everything is fine. I want to broad my search. So okay, I would go to this one. I would say add to search builder. Now we get something. Do you see this? Do you see it? This is our mesh term. This one.
Okay.
So this is our mesh term. I will show you here in this document. I'll make it bigger because I have made it ready. I was planning to do it more practical with you. Wait. Okay, let's take it out. So, okay. So we take it, is this one, diabetes, retinopathy, and this is the mesh term. We get it from there, very simply. Now we will take the other one. Concept is the prevalence. So we will take prevalence again. Where is prevalence? Yes, this is prevalence. I will go to the same page. So we have this one. Okay, we have it there. But we haven't add the. Yeah, we will add later. Now we will just put prevalence, and we will do the same. We will say search. Do you see? We have got a lot of terms, but we will decide about the common, the most one. So I will choose prevalence because my research question is talking about prevalence. So it's a common sense to choose, whatever you feel you are happy with. It's okay. You can make a mistake, no problem. You try this and this until you find your way. I will take this out and just clear it out. Okay, now we have to choose this one, and I would say, okay, choose it. So prevalence. So here there is no much choices. I would like to include all the options. Okay, I take this out again, clear it. I want my mesh term for prevalence. Okay, now I will press on this add to search builder. Okay, now I got it. Do you see? This is my mesh term for prevalence. It's here. I have copied it and I put it somewhere here. Yes, where's prevalence? So this is my term. Do you see it? This is my prevalence mesh term. Okay, I will do again also for adult. I have adult concept as we mentioned before, so I will take adults. This is adults. Copy. I go again and I put it here on the search bar of the mesh. It should be mesh. And I will say search. So do you see? Okay, I choose the most relevant one. I choose this one and I will clear this. Okay. Let's say search. I will take it out, this one, prevalence. So I will press also again. I think I get it somewhere here. Where is it? Adult. I will choose it. I should choose it first. Then I will press. I got it. You see? This is the mesh term for adult. I copy it and I paste it on my sheet. So this is the adult mesh term. This one is the adult mesh term. We do the same for Yemen. We put Yemen and we look if there is different name. It will give us the mesh term. Now, I will copy. We said we combine the keyword from the research question and the synonyms plus the mesh term. So look at this one. Okay, now this is the mesh term that we got together, and I will add the synonyms. You see in the red lines, this is the keyword from the question that we developed. We say diabetic retinopathy, or we will collect them, but we will write or between them. So we broad our research, and it should be in a capital letters. So we start or diabetic. So this one is the meshed term. And here we add or, and we put the synonyms. Diabetic retinopathy, or diabetic retinopathies, or retinopathies diabetic, or retinopathy diabetic, or eye disease. So now we have a combination. I will take this combination, copy, and I will go, this time not to the mesh, but I will go to the advanced. Do you see this? This is the main page of the PubMed, and here is advanced. Do you see it?
Yes.
You see? Excellent.
Yeah.
So I will press advance, then it will give me this page. I will put my combination of keyword plus the mesh term here. And it should be all fields, this one, all fields. I will say add, it will be add to the query box. I will not search now, but I will add to search. Do you see? Add to search. Now it's add. Do you see? I have one. This is a strategy. This is a search strategy. So this is the first search strategy. I will build the second search strategy. I go back to the Word document and I have the prevalence. This is the midterm. I will add the synonyms that we developed before from the research question, concept, or proportion, or prevalence, or epidemiology, or distribution, or rate, or incidence, or frequency. So this is a combination. Now I will develop from this combination, copy. I will go again to the same page, advanced, all fields. I will put it here to develop my search strategy. I will say add the history. Excellent. Now I have two searching strategy. Do you see? And I have the number of studies. This strategy give me 9 millions. This strategy give me 737 something studies. Okay, I will go to the second, concept and terms, adult. So I put adult or adults or adult that we have from our research question and plus the midterms. I will copy them and I will go again to the same page. I put them here. Keep in mind all fields, and I will say add, and I will add the history. Do you see? Now I have 3 research strategy, and each strategy, it's give me a number of studies, and it give me the time. So it's very important to register all of these things, the time, because you will mention this in your methodology and result of your manuscript of your systematic review. Now still I have another one that I should add. It's Yemen. Yemen midterm plus the concept or the synonyms from the keyword of the research. I will copy it and I will paste it to the same part in the advanced search. Add. Also, I would add to the history. Now look, I have 4 strategies that can give me something. Now how I would search, I would collect them all. Either to write here, strategy number 1, strategy number 2, strategy number 3, or strategy number 4, direct. Or I could just go here, press this one, I will add to a query. So it goes up. This is one, as you can see, this is one search strategy, went to the query box. I will go to the second. I will say add. Add with what? And or not. It should be with add. Keep in mind, it should be and. While we use or between the synonyms, but this one should be add. Okay, I added, so it's already there. I will go to the third strategy and I will say add with and. I'm sorry if I am fast and it doesn't help you to absorb all of this, but I'm sure you will practice it later. Okay, so now I have 3 strategies here. I will add the 4th. Add with and. Now I have all of my strategies there. Okay, let's add to history. I will press this one, add to history. Now I have it. Do you see? Now this is all of my 4 strategies, and it's give me 47 articles. So this study that I should export to an Excel sheet. Then I would look for the duplication of information. Then I would go for screening, reading the title and the abstracts. I would apply the inclusion and exclusion criteria, and so on. I will follow the Prisma flow diagram. I will do the same for the other database. There is some database you don't need to have this mesh term. Okay, let's press on this. 49 case about the retinopathy in Yemen or eye disease. Do you see? Now I have this study. I can retrieve them look at them. You know, I can play with them. I say, well, I don't want to have all of them since 74. I would say only for the last 5 years. Okay, I choose this filter. So I got 28 study only during the last 5 years. I can also go and say, well, I want just only the English. What kind of studies also, if you want to exclude some type of studies, obstructful. So you can play with this here, okay? I think you will be able to do it yourself. Let's go back. And I will share with you my, I hope it's still there. Why does it open? Yes, please. No, not now. Can share quickly. Time is running. You are speeding. Yes. Again. Okay. Speed it this way. Where is it? It's here. Now we start again. Why? We should go to the end. We should go to the end. I'm with you here. Again, but we will do it this way. Sorry. We speed too much today, and we are gathering a lot of information and skills that will round you to do a systematic review. And if you want to do systematic review, I am ready to collaborate with you, no problem. If you have a good questions, good intention, we do it. Okay, so this is the way how we develop the concept and the keyword, and we develop out of this our research strategies, and we find our paper. The meta-analysis concept, I think today it's out of the scope of the today workshop. And let's beg and ask the SRN to organize another workshop or to have a course with more practical and exercise. Okay, now it's the time for, thank you for your attention, and it's time for your question and to answer you. Please, go ahead. Thank you for your attention, guys. I'm done.
أوكي، شكرا دكتور عبد الله على هذه المحاضرة القيمة. زي ما قلت يعني محاضرة واحدة لا تكفي، ولكن نحن جبنا الخلاصة ما شاء الله عليك. يعني مريت في جميع النواحي من الليترشر ريفيو، أنواع الليترشر ريفيو، شرحت كيف ممكن نعمل اكستراكشن والداتابيز الآن نفتح باب الأسئلة يا شباب. أي حد عنده سؤال للدكتور يمكن يعمل في الشات أو يرفع يده، والمودريتورز يفتح له المايك. اللي عنده سؤال يمكن يكتبه في الشات أو يرفع يده ويتكلم مع الدكتور فيس تو فيس. أنا في معي يا دكتور مش سؤال، هو زي التعليق. أعتقد إنه المفروض طلاب الماجستير والدكتوراه يعملوا الفصل الثاني اللي هو ريتريتشر ريفيو از ريفيو، بحيث إنه يعني أنت لما بدون ما تجلس فاضي، خاصة تعرف اللي يبدأوا العملية ياخذ وقت. فالشابتر 2 المفروض يكون الطالب قد جمع حقول الدراسة السابقة وحاول يجمعها على الأقل تراديشنال سيستماتيك ريفيو وينشرها. هذه تنفعه جدا من ناحية النشر.
في طلبة ايوه شطار يعني عملوها نشروها، وبعدين بتخدمهم يعني لما يجي يقدم على جرانت ولا على جامعات بيقول لهم انا already I have published my literature review it's approved. خلاص يلجمهم يعني they don't have another option, they will accept him and they will offer him grant.
Yes.
He made a very big challenge and achievement.
اوكي صح كلامك. ابو بكر رافع يده، تفضل ابو بكر. مفتوح المايك ابو بكر، افتح المايك ونعمل لك انميوت.
شكرا دكتور على هذه المحاضرة القيمة. هو أنا عندي سؤالين أو ثلاثة. أولا السؤال الأول يعني can we do the systematic review يعني on by alone يعني مثلا لحالي، ولا لازم في جروب يعني research group مع بعض؟ هذا السؤال الأول.
Well, it's better to do put in a group because there should be two persons who will read the manuscript, and each one will decide what to include and what to include. Then you will compare what you have made. Yeah, a reviewer and journal, yes, they prefer to be more than one person, at least two persons.
Yeah, but what about you be the first author, so you be high accepted as for if you
Yes,
give grant like
at
this.
least more than two.
Okay. The second question
Should
is
I get in the right way?
yeah, thank you very much. The second question is what's the accepted minimum number of studies that we included in systematic review? Is there any accepted minimal studies or is there no limit?
Excellent. Well, I would say from 20 to 50 study, that's fine. But still, if you have 5, you can do a systematic review. But the standard from 20 to 50, it's enough.
20,
because if it's more than 50, then you would be lost. So you should minimize your research question and your filter. But 5 is fine too.
Okay, thank you. And the last question is, after we do systematic review, is there any critical appraisal as we do for single studies, or there is no? Is there any critical appraisal that we follow to characterize the systematic reviews or meta-analysis, or there is no?
ممكن تعيد السؤال يا أبو بكر بشكل واضح؟
السؤال إنه يعني السؤال انه هل زي ما نحن نعمل في السنجل ستدي there is a critical appraisal for the single study. طب هل في critical appraisal في السيستماتيك ريفيو والميتا اناليسيس ولا this is because
of course
there is
when we read the whole manuscript of the articles that we will include, we apply a certain what we call it quality assessment, and we judge them based on criteria. There is different criteria. One of them is the new, it's from Ottawa. There's different checklist that you can use to criticize each article, and you will write this thing 1, 2, 3. There's a list of questions for the quality assessment, of course.
Okay, thank you very much.
شكرا ابو بكر دكتور في سؤال اللي هو مثلا
يعملوا literature review، يعني ممكن نتعاون مع بعض واذا عندهم نشاط. It's a collaboration work.
دكتور في سؤال مثلا تكلمت عنه قبل معاك، اللي هو مثلا انا طلع عدد الدراسات انكلوجن 350 دراسه، لكن هل ضروري استخدمها كلها في الببليكيشن، اعمل جميع الريفرنس ولا بعض ولا كيف؟
والله I advise you to research, يعني to narrow your research question. Especially if it's the first literature review study for you. So it's just go for the simplest and the easiest one.
Okay, good. في سؤال كمان
هنا. You can make more than one literature review. You can make 2 systematic review or 3 if you have a very big questions.
Okay, good. في سؤال كاتب مش عارف أنا what is an umbrella review and what is the name of other type of much big review.
We said when we have the line to go in between the left and the side, and we said there is many types of the literature review, and we choose that only to stick to these 3. So, but still there is many names and types. But this is the 3 main things that we should concentrate now in order to, be able to proceed to do such a systematic review.
Okay. شباب في أي سؤال الدكتور قبل أن نختم؟ ما فيش تقريبا. في أنا اسمه معانا الشهادة يا دكتور، وبعد كذا نختم إن شاء الله. أحاول أعملها ولكن رزت.
في سؤال
شهادة
في
تقدير
الشات.
كذا، شهادة تقدير من الشبكة. ما أعرفش رغم أن
في
أنا
سؤال
نزلتها ولكن.
ال AI
آه،
tools for systematic
يا
decision review. و
شو يا شباب.
آه، اعتقد انه يعني الاي اي ممكن يساعد يعني بشكل محدود، يعني يقول لك يعني they will give you advice but AI will not do the job in your behalf. AI will not search the database. AI will not develop your research strategy. AI maybe can help you to develop your concept, terminology, synonyms, but still you have to do it yourself.
هذه الشهادة يا دكتور هي شهادة تقدير بسيطة من الشبكة نظرا للمجهود الذي قمت به.
شكرا شكرا. بدكم تعدلوا العصيمي
أهلا وسهلا دكتور.
وما فيهاش
شباب،
اخطاء.
أي
واي
أسئلة، أي مزيد من الأسئلة؟ أعتقد وصلنا إلى الختام. آه، في ختام هذه الجلسة العلمية الثرية لا يسعنا إلا أن نتقدم بخالص الشكر والتقدير للدكتور عبد الله العصيمي على ما قدمه من طرح علمي متميز ومحتوى ثري أسهم في تعزيز فهمنا للمراجعة، المنهجية والتحليل، وأهميتها في دعم الممارسات المبنية على الدليل. نشكر الدكتور على حضوره، ونشكر جميع الأطباء الكرام والمختصين على تفاعلهم ومشاركتهم القيمة التي كان لها دور في إثر هذا النقاش. نرجو أن تكون هذه الجلسة قد أضافت معلومات قيمة إلى آه، جميع الحضور. أشكر الدكتور وأشكر جميع الحضور وأشكر الأخوة في الشبكة، دكتور عبد الله وجميع اللجنة الإعلامية والسكرتارية وجميع الجنود المجهولون الذين خلف هذا العمل العظيم. أعتقد وصلنا الختام دكتور، وشكرا لك، ونلتقي إن شاء الله زي ما قلت. يمكن ننسق على دورة تدريبية كبيرة لمن أراد، نسجل أسماء ونعمل دورة تدريبية مكثفة اللي يحب إنه يكون سيستماتيك ريفيو. للأمانة هي مجال كويس جدا، وزي ما قلت إذا تعلمت مرة واحدة تنشر خلاص، بعد كده بتعرف الجايد لاينز وبتمشي عليه اثنين ثلاثة وأربعة.
ويا ريت يفضل انه يعني لو عملنا الكورس او مر برود ورك شيب انه يكونوا ناس ناويين يشتغلوا، ممكن يشتغل مع بعض، كل واحد معاه البروجكت الخاص فيه
آه.
ويمشي فيه خطوات. انا وصلت كده في البروجكت اثنين ثلاثه مع بعض اكثر من بروجكت. We can come up with 3 5 projects within one workshop.
كلام جميل. برضو اللي مع أي بروجكت عن اليمن في السعودية يعني كذا يمكن أتواصل مع الدكتور وننسق مع بعض في دراسات سابقة.
Yep.
شكرا دكتور وجزاك الله خير، وشكرا لجميع الحضور، وإن شاء الله نراكم في يوم السبت القادم والأحد القادم أيضا إن شاء الله. تكون محاضرة رقم 9 و10 هي الختام للبرنامج الأول، وإذا لقينا دعم واستمرار يمكن نعمل برنامج رقم 2. جزاكم الله خير، وإن شاء الله نلتقي الأسبوع القادم يوم السبت. شكرا لكم وحفظكم الله ورعاكم. يمكن تبنى التسجيل يا دكتور.